we try to give a show grace and we go forward in face value, there's always controversies, conflict, or how we describe a show definitively and without giving anything a face value of like criticism without always appointing the narrative. If you enjoy something, you enjoy something. And I hate tiptoeing around this because I watched Ironheart the first 3 episodes, and I could say it's sub average of a show, pushing the boundaries of just a, I would say more of a generation, more of a legacy project, with trying to appoint itself as like a new age with just a different coat of paint. Always is always gonna rub fans the wrong way that grew up with like decades of something. That goes around a lot of mediums, but always pointing this as a racial issue or a sexist issue. If you hands down don't even like the product, gotta be the dumbest fucking thing if you ever watch the goddamn show. Because nobody's even willing to watch any of the Disney Plus series when it comes to any of the MCU schmucks. Even when it comes to the most interesting part being a leftover side character of another legacy from the original Iron Man film. When it comes over to Riri Williams or the son of Obadiah's uh, crane that you literally see in the from the original Iron Man that nearly killed him due to the incident giving an impact. And even when it comes to media holders needing a certified fresh, when abruptly that's not even the best Disney Plus series or the own standalone Marvel series when it comes to Daredevil, Punisher, Agents of Shield, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man that came out, Marvel 97 that I'm still waiting for the next season, or Mrs. Marvel that I heard some well reception about it. Most of these characters can be contrived as likable, understandable over their circumstances, and no one ever says that about what the fuck Ironheart tries to do with Riri Williams, and you probably remember her if you haven't even remembered her from the Wakanda Forever film. That was probably just a standalone tribute over to Chadwick Boseman without much of substance that is barely even referenced over what happened over with the Wakandan people fighting over with Namor and his people. That after developing over her technical advancement while allying herself with Wakandans, yet took none of that wisdom with her when she came back over and fucked up her college career, falling off and getting dropped out of college, now following over a life of crime, coping over the drive-by death of her childhood friend that they awkwardly enough pushed over the opening with her saying that she's a genius, boasting around, saying that she's better than Jobs, better than Bill Gates, better than Pimp Enterprises, Hank Pym from Ant Man, and Tony Stark. Abruptly going over her inventions, over the backing of her advancements with the school, while being a disciplinary problem, manipulating her genius and using it to sell projects for plagiarism, costing herself her chances in education. And I at least like that the show appoints that Riri will get her comeuppance whenever it comes to her taking advantage of people believing in her. And you see that when it comes over to her trying to say that she doesn't want to be held over to a cage, doesn't want to feel small, yet no one's really inspiring her to be small, like how the lady said it over in the show, while getting cheerleaded by one of the guys after an incident involving her, one of her experiments going down. I I've they obviously show the infrastructure and the depth between Riri Williams and like her stepdad and her childhood friend over majority over the show, that they kind of can them into major plot contrivances. Sorry for the bigger word. Uh, Plot devices for most of what happens around the Ironheart show when it comes into her PTSD, reliving the moments of the shots, and how that affected over her programming when she had to make her own AI after building back her armor out of scrap after trying to fly her way all the way from her college back over to Chicago, Illinois, where she resides, and every time bringing over financial circumstances for why she doesn't have much technological like advancements. When bitch, you could have had a free ride to school to pay for a decent paying job to go for undermining school for undermining job so you can pay for eBay bitch or junkyard scrap heap to save up for technological advancements that you can actually build, or instead of trying to say over that you could steal. The ragtag group with the Need for Speed Unbound Gen Z gender fluid bullshit boring two-dimensional ragtag crew that's with Hood or Parker with his cousin, the two dyke the two dyke muscle heads that were over in a fight club, while a drag queen cisgender bullshit Dennis Rodman with Botox looking ass comes around doing most of the computer work, yet they have a technically advanced genius joining over in the club. All the take Eric Andre out of the show. Rampage, that's an actual comedic reference that he tried to use as his own persona to make himself sound more intimidating. And that was used as an alias for his Discord that was shortly referenced. And hopefully he gets regularly. I was hoping he would be regularly with scenes like uh, one of the other future characters that you see get developed over the influence of Riri, but he sadly passes over to a conspiracy involving Riri falling deep over into the group. And then you see build over this comeuppance, and it doesn't make me build over like circumstances to even like Riri, even when she pushes coming over like, and it sounds like victim shaming, but it's like when you're trying to get us corresponding with characters that you know like are in a phase of their youth and inexperience taking up their obvious potential, and you see like a lack of humanity over Riri, even with her love of music, and she's trying to play it over with her development, with her death of her stepdad and her friend causing the separation of her parents. And it feels more contrived when she's doing shit that she obviously doesn't have to do. And it feels like creative wise, how it's even pushed on the story, so rushed, bro. And then tokenizing fucking childhood friend to be the impromptu trigger over for her emotions, I felt like that should have been written a lot better than it should be. Instead of, no, you're supposed to OB. I don't know how you came over, and she couldn't somehow assess in like a record timing that I just manifested the memories of loved ones out of my head to now be my developing AI, and I can't construct that. Like groundbreaking shit that Riri can create, it's not really packed over in a bag while she coming over here shitting over on Tony Stark because of his financial upbringing, when it shows that he's always had an interest over being a techie for majority of his life, and over his advancements, most of those improvements either came from other sources that he didn't even buy out, or improvements over with past failures that came over him, and that didn't even translate over Riri's shortcomings when it came over to her failures to mature. And that should have been more over the development when they came over to trial and error. That was like always the biggest hurdle over for Tony Stark, and how it came from like like hindrance to growth. That should be Riri's. Like it's lost potential like this. That and I feel like this, like Marvel knew it was a bomb. How poorly promoted it was. It was already trying to use like key corporate wording to even push over that it's iconic, or I'm trying to make a legacy for myself, trying to build a world in armor, and they don't even develop over her flashbacks or her trauma building until like over the third episode, even though we knew it was over a drive by, and they don't build over the place of Chicago. That's a that's a lost that's a lost arc that they push over on the show, just to fetch over into the hood's side plots over a cloak that he's using that obviously has superhuman abilities, controlling him and deepening his sanity that he can't manifest, and obviously turning him that he has to cover himself in tats while doing financial upbringings off societal shit from tycoons, not really fucking up Chicago for real. Like, one was like an okay, we need to deal with traffic that I can profit off. And how's that really affecting them negatively? You could have made a makeshift inflation boom in Chicago. Uh, more, more, more bustling over in Chicago when it comes to public transportation, or Ubering, or advertisements for economic corporation taking advantage of people. It doesn't really push over an advancement from a different perspective for Riri. It just feel like they just doing random shit with random shit. It has no substance, bro. And you watching the show and you're already feeling like that's your only essence when it comes to Ironheart. You're already fucked up entirely. Like no kid is gonna resonate with this. You already have something that's supposed to oppose not to the fucking nerd demographic, not to the primarily to the casual and the youth demographic. Cause Marvel's always been for children. No child is gonna reside over with Riri Williams, cause she already shown himself to be more Hippocratic, very blame heavy, not that optimistic. That's gonna be a killer for most kids. Doesn't feel like she has her own over the top personality of her lifestyle. It just revolves around the suit. Nothing outside of her life, except probably mommy issues, resides over Riri while having her AI ragtag token black AI friend come over. And it feels like they cannot write it. We can contrast that over the last episode that involved a heist gone wrong while trying to execute a billionaire tycoon and try to swindle him over for money, then having the whole crew locked over in greenhouses while getting hit with carbon monoxide. Riri trying to take over some of the piece of cloak from a piece of cloth from the wood so they can examine over what is this hood capable of, even though you're already put over in deep dirt just for finances, for just advancing the fucking suit. For what? Like Obadiah Stane's son had more of an influence to do something with technological advancement and more of a depth than Riri Williams, the protagonist of the fucking show. This felt like a waste of a lot of people's time, and I know damn well it is. And the only people who are probably going to watch it is either hate watchers, anybody that's accused of being racist, or people that are just trying to push over as a race motive because you don't even watch Marvel for real. I'm being serious. It gets agitating. At least around the third episode, at least they're concluding over to another incident that could have been easily ended over at least more peacefully. That could have at least ended in a bit of a disbandment or turning over against most of the crew after nearly causing majority over death, while canoodling to just do something that was costing like 5 people her lives, including that deflective bullet from the last job, because one of Parker's abilities involving him bending bullets over his will whenever he shoots it, like that gun from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Like it gets very contrived how this writing team tries to push it over, how a fucking AI gets PTSD over remembrance of something that she gets over the when the user has still some control, and yet the AI can't activate over malfunctioning over PTSD. Like something like that is fucked. That obviously is probably gonna get explained because it's only been 3 episodes, the first 3 episodes out, and they've done this before with I think Agatha, but nobody fucking watched Agatha. I'm being for real. You can ask Phase 4 sympathizers that the build up is coming. The build up is coming for characters that barely get. I swear, for people forgot that Shang-Chi's movie coming out like 2021. The only person that people actually care is like the new Black Widow. Like that's about it. Other than the only people that kids can remember is Bucky. The youth rather watch Minecraft 2 with Steve being Kevin Hart and a pig played by Dream, with Jack Black reprising his role as a different user of Steve or some shit, and there'll be another riot in a theater because at least I got something entertaining to watch. While over on Disney Plus, Disney is so unequipped to go outside of the box for once in their fucking life. And just it feels like they're just pushing over a big button of just rush it. Feel like it's gonna resonate. If it doesn't, we lose money on it and we move on. That's ridiculous. Because of course the optimism here over this entire Marvel series universe was expanding on this. And you either had the biggest 50-50 of people either falling with some interest over Ironheart because she black, or this better be good, or I'm just gonna drop it in the first few episodes if it doesn't actually connect. That's literally it. I wish I can be more optimistic. Hopefully the next 3 episodes, because I don't know if they'll be dropping back to back or they'll just be showing this as an introduction over the first 3, then do one weekly. But all I know, my first impressions with Ironheart is a big 4 out of 10. I hope it gets better over the sake that some of this shit is just dumb. And it doesn't feel like, even in a comic book sense, that people would even pick this up over in a bargain bin unless they think they can make a buck out of this in 10 years. For real, I'm being dead ass. Because Ironheart isn't that old in comic book sense. That's it for me over in the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe for more. I'm gonna take some Tylenol, bro.